Today is April 5th, 2025, and I am at William O Brien State Park in Washington County, Minnesota.
Arrived.
Okay, we made it! Fun news! Visitor Center open. Was able to get stickers. I've been able to get those in a while. Second, there's a lot of people here, it looks like. Third, the hiking club trail, which I said to do, 5 miles loop. So, we're gonna be here for a second. I'm bringing my hiking coat thing with me. Only I'm probably not gonna need it because it's quite sunny and it's like 40 degrees out, so I'm gonna be good. It's just what we have on. I'm caffeinated. I only drink like half of this, but you know what? Caffeinated, ready to go. Yeah, I'm gonna have, you know what this is? This is gone from like, there was no one at the last couple parks to, I can see like at least like 30 cars. So, assuming each one of those has like at least, you know, we're gonna see people. I'm gonna have to be cringe and vlog myself on Maine. This is just it's exposure therapy for being a little bit cringe, even if it's, for having fun, even if it's cringe. Okay, let's get going. Okay, we found our trailhead. Also, Sprite and stuff. Wipe your shoes off. Part of it is the woodland edge trail. Part of it's the wetland trail. This whole yellow thing is this park is on the St. Croix River. However, the part of the park that's on the St. Croix is actually closed for construction, and it has been for, I swear, 3 years, because it was also closed for construction when I was here in like summer of 2023. So it'll be 2 years this summer, I guess. Okay, so there's some like kind of boggy swamps. They're probably not bogs. I'll check what the category for being bogs and marshes are. They're probably, honestly, they could be bogs. I see cattails. There's some trees. Acting like I remember the difference between bogs, marshes, fens, and swamps. And I don't. But that's either a bog or a marsh, and I can't remember which. So, I just edited the nurse term video. Editor me's gonna hate this. Here's an explanation on the difference between bogs, marshes, fens, and swamps. Sigh. Here we go again. Okay, marshes are wetlands that are almost always inundated with water, and they have soft stem vegetation, and that's almost always surface water that they get it from. Swamps are similar, but they support more woody plants like trees, and they're only saturated during part of the year. Bogs are wetlands that are mostly spongy peat and moss, very acidic water. They do not support large vegetation, and fens are very similar to bogs in that they are both peat and moss, but they have more nutrients. They can support more plants and animals. They can become bogs if they run out of nutrients. Showy-leaded slippers also live in fens. Bogs and fens are mostly found in the United States in the Great Lakes region. So if we see them here, that's probably what they are. Love you, editor Haas. Great, thank you for dealing with that. Here's my guess, and we'll see if I was right. They kind of remind me of the fens from that one field trip we took in 7th grade that I fell into. This is why I don't like fens, but it could be a fen. This part is just kind of like the stream bed, and then you can see the grass that goes into it, where supposedly, if it were a fen, the way to walk in it and not fall in is to step on the plants, because that is how you make sure you're sitting on like something that's rooted to the ground. However, sometimes the plants are lying and you step on them and you fall in, and sometimes there's a hole in your boot that you didn't know about, so then you get water in your boot. And it's the first thing you do, the first activity you had when you get to that field trip, and it sucks. Fun. There's some cattails sticking real tall up here. There's some things that are growing. Look what we got here. Things starting to puff up. Cass is gonna love me. There's a sign. And so these ones here are marshes, because these are cattail marshes, but they also have tamarack swamps and fens. So, no swamps, but all three of the other kinds, and I think we were looking up before, were the cattail marshes, which makes sense, I think, because there were a lot of cattails. I still don't know the difference, so I'm gonna keep that part in. I think Edgarcast is gonna love me because they don't have to find out what these ones are specifically, but I'm still gonna make them put in what the difference between these are. I say this like you guys didn't already see that part of the video. Well, I'm still at the park. I'm not editing it. What do I know? Oh, we got some keys. Okay, my battery cut out literally just as I was getting this. Chickadee was just like posing right in perfect view, and my battery died. So new battery, here we go. Look at this. It's just like the way. Whew. That's fun.
For most of its history, this land belonged to the Dakota and Ojibwe people. Like most of Minnesota is, those are the two native groups that, for the most part, were in this land. If you've ever heard of Sioux or Chippewa, same people, different names, but Dakota and Ojibwe are the two groups that were in this land. In the 1600s, it became used by European trappers as part of the fur trade, and then by the 1800s, it became part of the lumber trade, specifically for the white pine that were in the area, until it was almost completely wiped out. The park actually takes its name from one of the lumber barons of the time, Mr. William O Brien, if you believe, whose daughter Alice is actually the one who donated about 180 acres of land that this park is now on, in memory of her father. More land was later donated and added on after the fact. She donated that land in 1947, which is when it became a state park, because that's when it was first donated. The park lies in the St. Croix River Valley and a floodplain, and is home to a variety of vegetation types, like oak hickory forests, scattered white pine areas, marshes, oak savanna, upland prairie, and rolling meadows. It is also habitat to a diverse variety of wildflowers, especially in the spring and summer. As for fauna, this park is inhabited by raccoon, mink, beaver, and woodchucks, as well as white-tailed deer and fox. As for birds, you might see woodpeckers, bluebirds, orioles, herons, raptors, and a variety of warblers. We also saw a cute little chickadee earlier as well, and I also seen some robins flying around. And then as for fish, in the river, there are northerns, walleye, bass, and trout, and the park is considered ideal for canoeing, although a lot of the St. Croix River is considered one of the best rivers to canoe. The closest town is Marine on St. Croix. It's not very far away, although if you're trying to think of like what's a reference for a bigger city, Stillwater is probably the closest one nearby. It's about 10 miles away. Although if you are looking to visit from elsewhere, we're not too far from the Twin Cities. It is about 36 miles from the Twin Cities, 89 miles from St. Cloud, and 140 miles from Duluth.
What we got. Mud. Oh, Birdie, where are you at? Oh no. Oh, over here? Where are you? Ooh. Hi, Birdie. Where are we? You're over here somewhere. I just can't see you. Doesn't help that I'm looking straight into the sun. Hi. It is what I thought it is. There's one here. But there's another one right here. Look at these big old mushrooms. Woo. Well, I'm having fun. I didn't go off the trail. That was just a side path. Okay, second random outhouse, which means we are right here on our map. And that, yeah, there's a little shelter that it marks. So pretty soon, probably up there is where the rolling hill savannah trail will loop. We're not taking that one. And then after that, we'll pass by. Here's the thing. Should we, if we take the full trail, do that loop around the prairie overlook trail? Yes. Can we also just take 0.2 miles straight across? Yes, and we're going to. Moving on. Birdie! Chickadees are back. Hi, buddies. These are also some bluebird houses that we got up here, so hopefully they're doing well. The moon is out over there, I can see it. The moon is currently in the sky, so that's fun. More birdies? Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to get some on camera so you don't just hear them in the background. Okay, here's a confession. I put this park in April on purpose because I was really hoping I'd be here when the wildflowers just started blooming. And I don't know what I was expecting. I put it beginning of April. I should put it mid or late April. But no wildflowers. They're not here yet. That's why I was like, oh my god, I've been here in the summer. They were kind of dead by the time I got to see them the last time I was here. Let's try and hit them at their peak, at their beginning at least. Most likely some green shoots. No. I considered it wrong. So we're here, so we have to make it back this way to get to the visitor center. Yeah, that's that Rolling Hills Savannah Trail. Not gonna do that, we're gonna go straight here. And also, technically, we should do this. I'm just gonna take that loop here to keep going because I don't want to. Simple as that. Here, there's just the baby pine cones and some really baby sprigs. Here, leave no trace back, but we've just started new growth for spring here, so that's fun. Look at how baby. Just the little tufts up the top. What a cutie compared to like, oh, hold on. Big boys over on this side. Okay, so here's where we're at. That way is that loop, that 1.5 mile loop. And there's a little robin over there. As you can see him, he's getting run around. He's in the middle of the trail. He's very small. Anyway. Oh, that way is the kind of split. I'm gonna sit here and eat a protein bar because I did not eat lunch. And then we'll see if after that I'm like, actually I do want to do the full thing, or if I'm still like, no, we're gonna go that way. That one's Richard, and that one's Jason, and that one's Tim, and that one's Stephanie, and that one's David, and that one's Carrie, and that one's Duke. Okay, but like imagine it was wildflowers out there. It'd be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? Unfortunately, it is not. Okay, here's my prediction of how this is going to compare to next week when we're at Gooseberry. So there's a lot of people here right now. Part of that is because it's like an hour away from the capital. We're like the most major metropolitan area, so it's a nice enough weekend for people to go outside. This one, along with like Interstate, Old River, Fort Snelling, they're gonna be the ones people are like, hey, we could go out to a state park. So it makes sense that it's the first like kind of nice, not the first, there were some in March. It's a nice weekend, as people would be here. So, but the thing is about this park is it's just a lot of trails. Like, you know what, there's not like one big attraction, kind of. I mean, there's the river, but that park is it's like not open until May 1st. So for the most part, people are kind of spread out around the park. There's not like one big place people are congregating to. So if I just run into someone, I, for the most part, just put down my camera. I'm just walking along, I'm holding a camera, and that's pretty normal. If someone walks past me while I'm filming like the landscape, who gives a shit? That's fine. It's more like I don't try and talk to the camera while I'm by people, because I feel like inherently it's like a look at me kind of thing. So I think it's maybe not the greatest like one-to-one for what next week's gonna be like, because the thing about Gooseberry, people are there for the falls. There's a very obvious people come to one spot. All people will just go to the falls and then they'll leave. But the point is, I'm gonna want to, you know, talk about the falls. I'm gonna want to get a picture of the falls. I'm gonna want to talk to you about the falls. And there is just, it's unavoidable that the majority of people at the park are gonna be by the falls. So, you know, one can only do so much. So, it's not in my interest to film other people. I am the one who's choosing to put myself out on the internet and talk to y'all and go places and bring y'all with. And that's my choice, and I respect that's not everyone's deal. This is kind of pretty. Is that a crow? I love crows. Where are you? Crow? Hun? I love crows. Okay. Call again, hun. Where you at? I see you. You're up there. Hi. I don't think you're showing up on camera, but I can see you. I love crows. Caw, caw, caw. Y'all see that beaver lodge? Let's go take a closer look. This is Beaver Pond. There's their lodge. How fun. I don't think we're gonna spot any actual beaver just because they tend to be, what's the word for cutting out red sunrise sunset? Hold on, there's a sign over here. Maybe we'll have it on it. It doesn't say on here what the word for that is, but there's a beaver. There you go, you guys. You saw one. You saw one. Nah. They're busy right now. But let's go take a look. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, we are almost back to the visitor center, which means we're almost back to the car, which means we're almost done with O Brien. Here's my review. I like it more than you would expect me personally to. Why? Because I feel like maybe it's not on record, but I have a preference for the parks that are farther north in terms of how much I like them. I like more forests. I don't like prairies much. And even though I love a St. Croix park, the part that's open to the St. Croix closed. But still enjoyed it. I had a good walkabout. It's not difficult hiking trails, is what I would say. So that's, you know, one thing for it. I wish Minnesota had cooperated a little more and I had some flowers, even if they're not like in bloom, some like shoots, you know. But you take what you can get. So I think that's a wrap for O Brien, and be back next week. Well, not on YouTube. I edit when I feel like it. Not once a week like I probably should. So I'm still very behind in editing, so y'all aren't gonna see this for probably till May. But today's April 5th. I went here on April 5th. I'll go to a different park next week. See y'all soon.
The park lies in the St. Croix River Valley. It's in the Liver Valley, guys. I don't know what side my liver's on, but it's in that valley.